drives it into right center field, hit it Todd. This baby is way back out of here.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Eric, and today we're going to talk a little spring training. Spring training is here. Games have been going on. We are 8 games in. The Giants are 3-5 win-loss wise. Not so great, but we're not really worried about that in spring training. And I will talk about some of the players who have stood out so far. Very tiny, little teeny tiny sample sizes, but better than nothing. At least we're seeing some of these young guys and some of the talent that we have. Some guys who haven't really been paying attention to, who are looking really, really good. And I'll also talk about some of the stuff we're seeing in spring training with the pitch clock and everything. It's not for a rant. I'm not going to go off. I've already done that. But I will just talk about some of the things that have happened and how I feel about it and what we could expect seriously in the regular season and in the playoffs with this pitch clock stuff and balks being called and strikes and balls and people saying, dude, look at these players. They're chill. They understand. I'm like, it's spring training, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, let's just be honest. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, no one's going to freak out in spring training. No one's going to argue, get an umpire's face, and get thrown out of a game in spring training. Nobody's going to throw punches and start a fight in spring training. Everyone knows it doesn't matter, but I know it's in the back of every player's mind, like, oh my goodness, once the regular season hits, what's going to happen? So we'll get into all that as well. But right off the bat, Joey Bart, nothing new. He tears it up in spring training, and he's tearing it up in spring training. He's got 2 doubles and a home run in 5 at-bats. Not getting my hopes up too high because it's kind of normal for Joey Bart to tear it up at every level except MLB, regular season, and then he kind of just falls apart, at least until he came back last year after he's got sent to AAA. He came back, looked a lot better. Still nothing like insane, but he looked a lot better for sure and actually played pretty well after he came back. We'd love to just get that Joey Bart, but I'm really hoping we get the Joey Bart that we drafted 2nd overall, who's torn it up at every level except the big leagues, that he comes in this year and he is actually a legitimate, hopefully maybe an all-star caliber player this year. But guess what? If not, we got another catcher who is showing us a little something. And this might have been the best pickup we've had here coming into this season. And his name is Blake Sabol. Who in the hell is this? He was a Pirates draft pick and ended up in the Reds organization. We picked him up, and he is 5 for 9, 3 doubles, 2 home runs. Obviously has some pop. Hit 19 home runs in the minor leagues last year between AAA and AA. 284 average, 363 on base. He is on track to be the backup catcher. Maybe the starting catcher. That all depends on how things work out, but probably will be the backup catcher. We do have Austin Wynns in camp. We do have Roberto Perez, who we signed to a minor league deal. But right now, Sabol is on the 40-man roster. So he was already tracking to be the backup catcher, and that ain't changing the way he's played. So he's looking great. Very small sample, but still just great to see that. This guy looks like he's going to be a legitimate hitter for us, possibly. I mean, who knows how he'll hit big league pitching during the regular season. If this guy's for real, we could have legitimately 2 really good hitting catchers with power this season. And if, for whatever reason, Joey Bart doesn't show up, struggles, whatever, strikes out almost every time, maybe this guy can be someone who can step in and pick up the slack. We'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping they both, play great this year and that we have 2 power hitting catchers that bring big bats to the game, and we'll see. So Blake Sabol is absolutely tearing things up in spring training. Another dude tearing it up here, Mike Gigliotti, I think is how you say his name, but he was with the Flying Squirrels last year. He's 5 for 7 with a bomb. He'll probably start the year in AAA. Same with Casey Schmidt, although Casey Schmidt, he's probably going to play with the Giants this year at some point. I don't think he'll make the team out of spring training, but he's 4 for 4 with a big fly. Last year, he hit 21 bombs in the minor leagues. So who knows? Mike Schmidt. I wish we had Mike Schmidt. Casey Schmidt. And, as far as the regular guys, the Crawfords of the world and everyone else on the roster, they haven't had a lot of at-bats, but they've looked fine. Tyro Estrada's looked good. J.D. Davis has looked good. So we'll see. They just need more time to really see what we have there. Pitching-wise, let's see if I can jump over to the pitching. I know that Alex Cobb and Logan Webb have kind of struggled a little bit. They're trying to figure it out. But a couple of guys who I have noticed are Tristan Beck. Yeah, Tristan Beck has looked not too great, actually. But Ross Stripling looked good in his outing. But also Anthony DeSclafani. Good to see him back on the mound. Was injured almost all of last year. He's looked good so far. So just very, very tiny sample sizes. Not much to go on. But good to see everyone out there. And looking pretty good. Sean Jelly and DeSclafani are the two guys that kind of stand out. Taylor Rogers, he's going to make it. He's going to be a difference maker in the bullpen. This guy's solid pitcher. Really happy to have Taylor Rogers on the team, and of course Tyler as well. So shout out to those guys. And that's pretty much it. It's been a solid start here. The thing I'm most excited about is definitely Blake Sabol, because that's just key to have a big power hitting catcher aside from Joey Bart, also in the big leagues, also big league ready. That is absolutely huge. So really excited about that. There's some of Casey Schmidt's stats right here. Last year, 293 batting average, 21 homers, 78 RBIs. What a beast. In Richmond in AA, he hit 342 in 120 at bats. He went freaking 41 for 120. Just 3 home runs, but still he hit 17 in high A. So Casey Schmidt, dude, look out for this guy. Again, second round pick in 2020. I remember when I covered it. I remember when they drafted him. I talked about it. I made a video about it. And yeah, he's really working out so far. We'll see, though. I mean, he hasn't even gotten a big league at bat yet, but so far looking really good. As far as the other stuff, they're finding loopholes with the shift. So Joey Gallo came to the plate. He had to be so excited that there's no more shift, because that's kind of just destroying him. But instead what they did was they just moved some of their outfielders around. Now, you're still going to create weaknesses. I don't care what you do. You can bring your outfielder in close and then shift one of your outfielders over to center field and bring one to really short right field. But guess what? Now, if he hits for power, if he goes deep, not deep over the fence, but if he just drives one deep to the outfield, guess what? That ball is more likely to fall somewhere and go for extra bases. So you're always going to create a weakness, especially now. It's a lot different when you create a weakness in the infield, because you're going to figure the guy's not going to hit a ground ball to the left side of the infield. But now you're creating weaknesses in the outfield. So to me, it's not really that big a deal. Go ahead and try to find loopholes with the shift and move your outfield around instead. But you're going to create weaknesses in the outfield, it would seem. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, because the analytics are going to have to catch up with this and determine, if this is a good thing or a bad thing for the defense to make these kind of moves. But what they did was they moved center fielder Adam Duvall into shallow right field, and then they moved left fielder Raimel Tapia to center field. That's how they did that. But again, I think that creates weaknesses in your outfield for a power hitter, a guy who can hit the ball to, over the wall, but also just deep to the outfield, creating some weaknesses there.
Look at where they're going to play their right fielder.
That's what we're talking about with Gallo hitting.
Tapia is going to play center, and they brought the center fielder.
So you have 2 guys out in right field. I mean, it's just kind of, I want to see the reactions to this here in the chat, but in the comments here, but look at all this space out in right center field. I mean, that guy's going to hit, you're going to give up triples all day long, inside the park homers, maybe not because the right fielder can get to the ball, but just a massive gap. And Joey Gallo's got to be looking out there like, yeah, I mean, you're still trying to eliminate that base hit to right field. Yeah, so you're guarding against a single, but you're also allowing for a much easier opportunity for extra bases. I don't know if this guy's serious. Says, I won't be buying tickets until this is resolved. You're not going to buy tickets until it's resolved. This is the shift, little loophole against the shift is the least of our problems right now. Forget hitting the ball to left field. All you got to do is hit it to right center. Look at that gap. Thank you. You're still pulling the ball, half pulling the ball. If all you got to do is hit it straight right, then bro, just go home. Yeah, you don't even have to go opposite field. I don't know how well this is going to work out, because it just feels like this is creating a bigger weakness. Like, if you want to create a weakness on the left side of the infield, that's one thing, but a giant weakness in right center, I don't know about that. Other than that, we're having some confusion with the umpires. We're having some confusion here. The pitch clock and everything.
That means Robles can't step up. Robles step out. That means
the pitch clock and everything. Here is a pitch from Max Scherzer. And they're both trying to play the game. They're trying to like run the clock. I don't know what they're trying to do, but here's what happened.
Robles step out. That means Robles can't step out the rest of the at-bat.
So that's his time. And now Scherzer quick pitches him, and that's a balk.
Robles step out.
See, Scherzer was not even happy there. And it's spring training. He was still like, dude, what the heck? It looked like if we look here, did he say that Max Scherzer
That
could
means
pitch?
Robles can't step out the rest of the at-bat.
So that's his time. And
He made some kind of a gesture, and it's just confusing everyone, and no one knows what's going on. That's why they have to work all this out in spring training. But there's also been other incidents. I mean, a game ended in a tie on a pitch clock violation from the hitter, and the hitter was running to first, thought it was a walk, thought it was a pitch violation on the pitcher, but he said, no, you didn't engage. You didn't engage. So it's really a lot of weird rules. I'm not trying to go on a rant about it. I'm just being honest. Like, there's a lot of weird rules that people got to get used to. But the thing that I'm really seriously concerned about is, first of all, they just can't stop talking about it when you watch a game. You talk about it distracting. It's a nightmare. All you hear about is pitch clock, pitch clock, pitch clock, pitch clock. You're just trying to watch a game. Second thing, and I know that'll go away. Second thing, though, when this does happen in the regular season, there will be serious arguments. There will be ejections. It was going to happen a lot. This is going to take some time to get used to. Sure, I can see years down the road as and I know a lot of these players have been in the minors, but a lot of them weren't. These are veterans. They played in the minor leagues. A lot of these players, like Max Scherzer, they played in the minor leagues long before pitch clock. These are big league veterans. But probably more than 50% of the league never played. I'm not sure, maybe less, but a lot of the league has never played with a pitch clock. For the younger guys who came up, even they may have used a pitch clock, but they've been in the big leagues a couple of years and they've kind of moved away from that. It's going to take a huge adjustment, but I do think there's going to be massive arguments. Everyone who's saying, dude, these guys are chill, they understand. I'm like, dude, y'all don't know what you're talking about. This is spring training. They're not going to get thrown out and go crazy over spring training games. But when the regular season hits, they will do just that. They're going to get pissed off. There's going to be arguments galore during the regular season. I'm sure they'll do better because they're going to try their best not to get violations. But especially when the playoffs start, or even late season when games really start to matter. I mean, every game matters, but you know what I mean? When your playoff implications are there and you're trying to make the playoffs and it's September, these games get more dramatic and they take more time. But they can't take more time. They literally can't. They have to move it along. And same goes for the playoffs, because apparently the pitch clock is going to be in the playoffs. And so it's going to be crazy. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad. I mean, as you already know, I'm not a huge fan of the pitch clock. If it was just off to the side, not in our face, and gave plenty of time, like a reasonable amount of time, take into account, that you're trying to get the signs and everything. It does seem like there's not much time. And we'll just have to wait and see. They may have to make some adjustments and do some things, but it's wild right now. I know people love it. There are people who literally love every single thing Rod Manfred has done. They tell me that, dude, I love them all. I love every change. It just makes me think, really? How can you love every change? That's just insane, because they're so different. They all affect the game in different ways. And that makes me think you're just going to love every change regardless of what they do. So some people are like that. There's always going to be people who hate every change. I don't hate every change. The shift, the ban on the shift, I don't have a problem with that. And like I said, the pitch clock, I wouldn't have such a big issue with it, except for the fact that they are really, really implementing it hard. And it just went from nothing to like, boom, like you better freaking be in the box. You better pitch. We're not playing around. They obviously told the umpires, we are not playing. You will be strict on this. You will call it. And I bet the umpires are loving it. The umpires are loving this. They got something else to do, So it's interesting, but I do see some massive arguments, some big ejections, and some pissed off fans. And lastly, I'll leave it on this. Every fan who loves the pitch clock and loves this whole thing, and I don't love it. I don't mind it to move the game along, but I do think it should be not in the playoffs. I really think in the playoffs, you gotta let the atmosphere. The atmosphere itself is just amazing. I just don't think a playoffs is a place for a pitch clock. I mean, personally. So, but what I am saying is if you love the pitch clock, get in there and hit. The second that it costs your team a win, you ain't going to love the pitch clock so much. I guarantee that. The second that your pitcher gets called on a balk and the winning run comes home and the game is over because he got called on a balk because he was confusing the signs or the pitch calm, you're going to be pissed. Wait and see. So I can't wait for that because it's going to happen and people are going to get mad. I thought you loved the pitch clock. Remember? Yeah, but anyway, let me know what you guys think of the pitch clock. It's been wild so far. The adjustments to the ban on the shift, trying to find loopholes, and the Giants and Blake Sabol and some of these guys. What do you think? Let me know. So far, spring training's been wild. I'll try to call a couple of games, do a couple of play-by-plays for spring training this year, and maybe a couple of post games as well. So look for that, and we'll talk to you guys next time.